All right, everyone, welcome to this short video. We will be discussing how to essentially upload your rough draft and then complete the peer review process. This document right here can be found posted online as one of your latest posts. Here's the title right here. All right, so let's just go through this in sequential order. The first thing you're going to need to do is simply upload your rough draft. Now, the sequence goes something like this. It's the same as a regular writing class, with the particular challenge of us being online and having to negotiate all the logistics online. But it always begins with you posting your rough draft. Just as if we were face to face, you would bring a rough draft to class. We would get into small groups, read each other's work, provide feedback, give that feedback to each other, and then get to revise before you turned it into the professor. Me in this case. We're going to do the same thing online. So the first thing you're going to do is post your complete rough draft as your daily post in the daily post slot. And you'll be able to find your partner's papers there as well. I did this rather than a Dropbox just so that it's an area that we're all comfortable finding, right? And you will see, here's our home page. You'll simply go to our daily discussions. Scroll down, down, right? And there it is right here. So currently as I shoot this video, no one's put it up yet, but you will all be there soon enough. So go ahead and post here, right where it says to. And as it says, check the home page for the workshop partners, okay? So go ahead and post your rough draft there. When it's time to find your partners, let's say your partners are Jim and Sarah, fictional students Jim and Sarah. Well, you're just going to go, you're going to learn that on our D2L homepage. And then you're going to come back here and you'd click on this and you would, of course, see a list of everybody's post. And you would find Jim and Sarah's, and one at a time you would respond to those. And Jim and Sarah would be responding to your paper as well and giving you feedback. And you'll simply be attaching that underneath. Let's just use 2 4s so we can see how this will work. So imagine these would actually be not your daily posts, but your rough drafts that were uploaded. Please don't put it up as a D2L post, but upload. I guess this won't quite work, but you can respond. All right, this is important. So watch this, everybody. You can respond here under edit topic. So you would go to, they won't have any writing. Go in, take a peek right here, this little arrow, pull down, and you can do edit thread. Simply click on this, and what this is going to do is open up basically like a blog, like you could respond to them if you wanted to underneath. What you'll want to do though is do add attachment, and then you will be able to upload either your audio feedback or your written feedback, your commentary right here. And then what will happen, of course, is this would be somebody's initial reposting of their paper, their rough draft here. Maybe you could say something here like thanks, or I'm concerned about this in my paper, whatever it might be. And then you'll just have their feedback waiting for them right below here. All right, so that'll be nice. That's the easiest way to do it. You can see if you don't have an audio recorder, there is a record audio function here, and you can use that. The only thing about it is it only records in 1-minute segments. So if you leave them 7 to 8 minutes worth of audio, it's all going to be 1 minute at a time, which can be a bit confusing and annoying, I found. I used to use this feature. You're better off using some other options I'll show you in a minute. So once again, just to recap, once you do edit post, we're actually inside of the proper space here. Let's say student A is a student named Tim. He would go ahead and post his paper here. And then underneath, eventually we would expect his partners, students B and C, Sarah and John, let's say, to go ahead and add their attachments here by clicking on it. And they could upload a Word doc with their feedback, or they could upload audio as well. And that would be perfect. And then Tim will open this sometime over the weekend or in a few days, and he'll have some feedback from his partners waiting for him. Of course, at the same time, student B could open up their rough draft posting and would expect to see feedback from students A and C, their partners, and student C could open up their rough draft post and eventually expect to see students A and B had commented as well. And that's what we're shooting for here, is so you have feedback from other students. All right, so that was probably the most challenging part of the technology I would suggest for this. Otherwise, just kind of we can go in order here. I will read it to you quick. But so post that rough draft as your 2.5 daily D2L post. Do everything I just showed you, and life will be good. Eventually, then number 2, check your D2L homepage for your partners. They will be posted here. I just sort of have a generic one right now, but you'll be in groups of 3, most likely no bigger than 3. So you'll be reading 2 papers and receiving feedback from 2 partners. That should be good. You'll see them all listed here soon enough. So please upload your draft as a Word doc, not as a PDF or anything like that. Something they can write on if they need to, right? So Word doc is perfect. You can write on your partner's paper with the comment feature. You'd include audio as well. Let's briefly talk about that. So your comment feature is, you're not quite going to be able to see it here. Yeah, I can pull this up, but not quite all the way, unfortunately. All right, turns out I can. You should be able to see this. If you go to, let's say this is a paper, you can go to Insert, New Comment, and then you can type in your comment, as you see here, right? What you need to do ahead of time is outline the section that you want. So, and then you just type in, whatever it might be that you're looking for. Again, let's say this was a stray sentence or an idea that needed more explaining or something like that. New comment, and there you go. If you want to get rid of these, you can simply X out of them, and away they go. So that's one thing you can do. The other thing I like to do, this is on Mac. I have a Mac. I don't know if QuickTime exists on a PC, but you can do audio feedback as well. And audio feedback I think is great. I'll leave all of you audio feedback. You can say a lot more and contextualize a lot more than typing. So what I usually do is I just do a search in my little spotlight. I go to QuickTime Player. You can see I open it up. Once we get there, I pull down audio recording, and I get this nice little audio recorder that opens up. I hit go, and you can see it's ready to record me right now. That's my voice it's picking up just on the built-in audio microphone. So I use this one a lot. Here's why. The files are really, really small, and it's easy to upload to D2L. If you use a powerful technology, the files will be bigger, the audio files. And it might take a long time or even fail when you upload to D2L. You could send by email as well, but again, that has its limits in our WSU email. So I would use this. Other people have used their phone and not had problems. So I think that would work fine too, or any other recording device on your computer. So you know your computer best. I would recommend audio files, but you can type the comment function if you need to. All right, we'll keep moving here. Number 5, you can upload or attach your feedback to the paper as a response to the original post, something I already covered, right? That add attachments under the original rough draft post. That's where your commented paper will go, or any audio that you send them. All right, keep moving. Please complete your response to your partners by Monday, midnight. I had you post by Friday midnight your rough drafts, because it does take a while to go through somebody's paper and do a good job giving feedback. We'll go over where those questions are in just a moment. So you've got until Monday midnight. That leaves you Tuesday to go ahead and apply any revision suggestions that they make that you think are sound elements of constructive criticism. You can change things based upon what you think as well, as you kind of think about your paper more and reflect on it. 3.1 has questions that I've put up that will help you provide feedback to your partner, specific things that I'll be looking for that you might want to look for as well in your partner's papers. That should be helpful. Let's take a look at those. All right, so here we are. I just put these questions under the 3.1 post because technically everything is due by midnight of Monday. Your responses to your partners are due by midnight of Monday. So I thought it made sense to put them under Monday's post so everything is right in the calendar on D2L. You'd expect to see it. Here are a bunch of questions. These are the basic ones that I'll be looking for. I won't go through them all. They're pretty self-explanatory. Thesis, paragraphs, organization, making sure that your analytical task is on track of analyzing the rhetoric, not just talking about ideas or what you liked about the piece or something like this. and then discussing, grammatical issues and other stuff like that as well later in the piece. I've also attached to this as well in this area. But these are the questions. The other thing you can do is you can look at the assignment description. And of course, that will give you plenty to think of as well. The other thing you could look at, remember I gave you very, very specific things to do in this list here in each paragraph to really help you generate as much information as possible. So you might want to help your partners out, or eventually help yourself out, by looking for these things and making sure you're doing those in some way, shape, or form to really develop your ideas and provide depth to your analysis. So all of these things can be criteria for evaluating as well. You can see I've used the comment feature here. Here's what it looks like eventually. You can do that with your partners or provide that audio, as I mentioned. All right, so use all of these tools. And we're back to here. Okay, so that wraps up everything to do with your paper, the posting, the commentary to your partners, finding your partners, commentary, etc., etc. We've covered what you might ask or how you might read their papers based upon what I just showed you, all the questions I've provided as your 3-1 post questions. Don't forget that the last thing you have is another paper due with this. We haven't talked about it much. It's a pretty simple paper. It's just you reflecting upon evaluating your writing. Okay, and it can be found under assignment descriptions. There's number 1. Every time we have a major paper in here, you have this reflection paper that comes with it. You see, it doesn't take long to describe. You can read this briefly. But essentially what I'm saying is that, and this works really, really well in our online format, now that you've written your paper, how did you use various elements of class? How did you deploy them? How do you know that what you're doing is the best thing to do with all of these concepts for class? I'm not saying that it isn't. I know you made good choices, but I want you to think about those and write about them in this accompanying paper that is 3 to 4 pages double-spaced. It might be a bit more conversational in tone. You're basically analyzing your own rhetoric, okay? What is that going to look like? Well, I've got some questions right here that you can answer, and this is where your 3 to 4 pages will come from. The introduction. Why is it effective, right? Why does it say all these things in an effective order? So I'm asking you, what order did you put things in? And why do you think that would be effective for a reader? Why do you think it would be clear to someone who has some background on the environment, which is your audience, yet they need to be taught certain things? What did you need to say? What were your readers' needs? That's one way to think about this section. What your readers' needs and how did you meet your readers' needs? Your paragraphs, how did you organize them? Why did you talk about what you did first? Why did you talk about, I don't know, irony first and then metaphor second, if those are the 2 things you chose for your paper, right? Your individual paragraphs, what type of information did you put in? Of course, I've given you plenty of suggestions. Why did you layer it in the way you did? I mean, I could do this for what I wrote, and I might say, well, I kind of went with a list-like format for my topic sentences. From there, I pretty quickly got into talking about the specific instance to set that up, and then later tied it back into the Sierra Club's goals of consumerism and commercialism overriding ecology. But one thing I might say about my later paragraphs is then I usually reminded people of my thesis earlier in my later paragraphs. And maybe that's because I was concerned that being farther into the paper, people might forget about the values that I established way back here in the thesis. Coming off the heels of the thesis, it was in their mind and I got quickly into my example. But later I wanted to remind people of the values first, which you see me doing in each of these sections. So you can see these second and third paragraphs are a little bit different than my first one. And so I'd explain why that reader might need that or why that was a good decision. And that's what I'm asking you to do. And you've got post questions here to help you do that. So this is a second paper. You don't have to write it as a post. Rather, you want to write these up. The reason we do this is because research shows that if you discuss your writing, you'll be more likely to transfer these to future writings. There's a ton of psychological research on that. So these questions are not busy work. Rather, they're guaranteeing that the things that you do in your paper, you'll probably remember them and they will flow from you more naturally and you'll add them to your toolbox, so to speak, on future papers. So the big thing to think of here, reflection is always a key element of any writing. Once you're done writing, you want to make sure that you've made good decisions. So you go ahead and you reflect on it, right? You can do it mentally, but here for our format, it works really well to have you do it as a paper, so that you can, since I am not there to help you out and ask you questions verbally to get you to reflect, this assignment is doing that. Don't worry about the tone so much. Conversational is fine. Lastly, when this is all over, you will post it here. Your rhetorical analysis and your reflection paper will go here to assessments, assignments, and a Dropbox awaits you right here. Put it in there. Thank you.